and welcome to the next segment of Anderson County Serves Here. Thanks to County Administrator Rusty Burns and Anderson County Council for allowing me the opportunity to show you what is going on in Anderson County and how people are serving all over Anderson County, from Pendleton to Honeypath, from Powdersville to Iva. Today we're going to be concentrating on a program that is actually here at United Way. It is our Americorps program. In 2009, we saw an opportunity and we jumped on it. We had an opportunity to apply for an Americorps grant. You may be asking, what is Americorps? Well, it is like serving in the Peace Corps, except you're doing it right here in your local community. We started out with Americorps by doing a reading program. But after Governor Haley had signed the Read to Succeed Act, there was not as great a need for our volunteers to be in the schools helping children learn to read. So we changed direction. We realized there was a great need for an emergency preparedness and response team. And right now, Anderson County has the only emergency response and preparedness team in the entire state of South Carolina. And I want you to hear about it today from our director, Brandy Singleton, and in partnership with Emergency Services Director Josh Hawkins. You are going to learn more about how you can be prepared and how we are responding when the need arises. Thank you again for joining us.
So in 2017, when South Carolina was devastated by the 1,000-year flood, we basically went into each community and decided, hey, what needs are standing out in the community? And we noticed that emergency management tends to be overworked, and so a lot of times they don't have the additional staff to be able to go out into the communities and do preparedness for individuals. And so we figured out that we could provide that gap in service and actually be the boots on the ground for them in support of that. So 2017 is when we started this program initially. So our partners across the state of South Carolina are Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, Georgetown, Williamsburg, Berkeley, and soon to be Bluffton. And what we do is a little different in each community because each community is different in the way that they respond and the way that they prepare their citizens for emergencies. So what we do with local United Ways and also with emergency management is we go in and we try to see what needs they have in each individual community, and then we address those. So here in Anderson, what we're doing, our Americorps team actually goes out into the community at local events, churches, schools, and they provide preparedness materials. So if our Americorps team is going to an elementary school, we go in and we actually provide this book for them. And as you can see, it has fun activities for the students to do. So our Americorps members are not just going into the school and, telling kids bad things can happen. We're actually telling them, hey, these things may occur, but here's what we need to do in order to prepare. And we're doing that on their level. And the same goes for if we go out and speak to senior citizens groups, we actually have materials as well that are focused and geared toward that. So they need to have certain things in their preparedness kit. So they need to have medication, they need to have water, they need to have food, but they also need to understand what resources are out there as well. So that's what our team does when we go out into community events and we speak and we give out all of these materials. We're letting individuals know what they need to have and how they need to be prepared. Now, if we go down into Georgetown, those folks are very familiar with what happens in regards to emergencies and hurricanes and things of that nature. But now a lot of times folks don't realize the resources that are available to them during and after. So what our team does down in Georgetown and Williamsburg and also Berkeley counties is they're geared more toward partnerships with the community. So they're trying to go in and create those partnerships with local nonprofits and other divisions of the county there and see what resources they can bring together to ensure the continuity of services throughout a disaster. Our partnership in Oconee and Pickens is very similar to our partnership here in Anderson. What our members do is they go out into the community and they're actually educating. Oconee has a wonderful partnership with their school district where they have a tornado preparedness poster contest every year, and our team is always excited about being guest judges and participating in that. So we really are excited about all the information that we can get out to individuals so that they understand how important it is to be prepared in the event of an emergency. So our Americorps team is instrumental, and again, I said earlier, a lot of times emergency management folks, they're dealing with day-to-day. So they're dealing with missing persons, they're dealing with house fires, they're dealing with those type things that are not what people consider like the large-scale disasters that are flooding the TVs all the time. So what our members are able to do is kind of take that off of emergency management and kind of provide that support system to them so that they have the ability to kind of get those resources out and they don't have to allocate a staff person there. We all know if a child comes home excited, the parent is going to listen. So we may be in a situation where we're talking to a room full of adults and it's kind of, oh, that's great information, but no one's really listening. And if the child comes home excited and thrilled about what they learned in their preparedness with Pedro or their step activity planning kit, they really are excited because when we provide that information to them, there is a section that goes home that tells them to go home and talk to their parents about it, and then ask their parents to create a family emergency kit and to create a family exit plan in the event that there's a fire in their home or something else happens and they need to have a meeting space and things of that nature. So being able to provide those materials and have those children come home excited really does engage the parents, I think, sometimes more so than us as adults speaking to adults. Honestly, if we did not have the partnership that we have with Anderson County, we would not be able to reach the folks in the scope in which we do. We receive materials, we receive support, we help them with events. I mean, it really is something that we would not be able to do. And the case is the same in the other counties as well, because if you don't have that support from emergency management, then it really would be almost impossible to have this program in place. Well, actually, we have had several teachers come back to us saying that after the class, their students have come back and said that their parents were really excited and intrigued because they didn't realize all of the things that went into an emergency kit. And I think sometimes people think, oh, well, I've got groceries in the cabinet or the refrigerator's full. But what happens when the power goes out and your refrigerator no longer works and those type things? So, or when you open your cabinets and the only thing you have in there is muffin mix. That type of thing is not really the things that you put in an emergency kit. And so just understanding and educating folks about what they really need to survive. Because at the end of the day, what we want to happen is we want the citizens to be prepared, because there will be situations where you truly need emergency management to respond after a disaster. But if you just forgot to go buy water, or you just forgot to have some canned goods set aside, that's not an immediate disaster type emergency situation for you that you need to call emergency management and have them to respond. So them being able to respond to critical needs during a disaster is what's most important, because that's where lives are saved. And if you can do your part and have your emergency preparedness kit put together and you're ready to stay in place for 3 days. Hopefully we'll never have a situation where we have to have folks remain in place for three full days. But in the event that were to happen, you would be prepared, you would have your go kit, and everything would be together so that emergency management could respond to those critical needs in the community and save lives. Because I think a lot of times people think that, emergency management is a county thing, which it is, but I think people don't really think of United Way as a disaster response component. But what folks don't understand is during a disaster, United Way usually, obviously on the day-to-day, even in blue skies, we manage volunteers. So in managing volunteers, we also have the ability to get information out to the community. And I think Josh is going to talk to you guys a little bit about what the county here in Anderson is doing in regards to educating and information for the public. So all of our funding is received through the United Way Association of South Carolina in partnership with the National Service Commission. And, you know, we've received this grant for disaster preparedness since 2017, and we just wrote the grant and submitted again, so we're hoping for another 3 years of funding from that. But every bit of the money that we receive to support the whole state of South Carolina comes through that grant funding and is housed here at United Way. Well, since we have begun in 2017, we were able to serve over 9,912 individuals in the community, and that does include students and those that we've responded to in a disaster. So we actually had the opportunity when there was flooding down in Sherrall to go down and assist a local United Way there with some emergency food stamps, because even though individuals had already received their food stamps, when power had gone out and had stayed out for that 3-day window, everything that they had already bought was ruined. So they did not have the staff and the infrastructure to be able to assist all of the additional folks coming back. So our team was able to go down and assist 508 families during that time as our response in Sherrall. So that's just a small snippet of kind of what our team has the ability to do in the aftermath of a disaster. In 2019, when we started hearing rumblings of the pandemic and all of the things happening in other places, we knew that we had a disaster plan in place because, of course, that's what our program does. Well, in March of 2020, when the pandemic really hit us here in South Carolina, our program was immediately able to respond and call and speak with individuals on the state level as well as local county individuals to see what the exact needs were and what the immediate needs were that our team could participate in. So with our partnership with the United Way Association, we have a 211 network that runs all across the state of South Carolina, and our team was able to assist that 211 network with going in, kind of working the back end of that, ensuring that all of the nonprofit information, so when you call 211, you're receiving up-to-date and current accurate information. So we all know that so many nonprofits were either closed or having staffing issues and things like that, and nobody really knew what was happening. So our team was on the phone all day, every day, trying to ensure that when individuals called those resource lines, because during that time it was so very important for people to understand where they could receive assistance, where they could find food, because a lot of people, there was just a lot of uncertainty during that time. And so our team was able to make sure that all the information was up to date and support the 211 operating system throughout. And we're still actually in the process of making sure that as businesses open back up, hours change, services change, because I think during that time a lot of nonprofits really kind of streamlined what it is they were doing and how they really wanted to be there and what resources they needed to provide to the community. And our team was able to do that. When you're out in the community and you see United Way or you see the South Carolina Disaster Corps Americorps logo, what we want to encourage you to do is take our resources. We have so many valuable resources that we provide to the community, and we want you to know, for example, this is just a magnet that can slap right on the refrigerator, and it actually goes through all types of natural disasters that we could have here in Anderson. There's a heat warning, there's snowfall, there's flash flood, and it's just going to kind of walk you through and let you know if you receive these alerts. So the county submitted an alert and says, hey, we have a tornado warning. These are the actions that you need to take, and these are the steps that you need to do, and this is how you need to be weather aware. So we would like to encourage everyone, when they do see us out, don't be afraid to stop by. Come by, tell us your story, let us know what's happening in your life, and also take all this information, because it is information that is key to you being able to be prepared and be ready to survive a disaster here in Anderson. Yes. When we're out in the community and you see us, be sure to stop by and get a family emergency communication plan. And one thing I really like about these, we get these from ready.gov and FEMA as well, but one thing I really like is it's the size of your wallet. So it's not taking up a huge amount of space, and it's information that you can always have with you, because let's face it, so many folks have numbers that are saved in their cell phones and they don't actually know that number. So I know that my sister is saved as Sissy in my cell phone, but I do not actually know her telephone number. So in the event of an emergency or something happens, or even if I'm in a car wreck and my phone is thrown from the vehicle, if this is in my wallet or in my purse, emergency management and those first responders will be able to say who my emergency contact is and get in touch with the people who I love the most. And that really, at the end of the day, is what it's all about, is taking care of one another and being there for each other.
Anderson County Emergency Management is an organization that sits in between a lot of organizations. We help fire, law, EMS, public works, transportation, emergency communications, our energy corporations throughout Anderson County, any type of utility, the healthcare providers, and this in particular are VOADs. So VOAD is a volunteer organization assisting during disaster. United Way and Americorps are both VOADs that assist during disasters. The nice thing about Americorps and the nice thing about United Way is they don't only assist during a disaster, but they assist before a disaster. They help get our community prepared. And that's one thing emergency management really, really loves seeing, because the more our community is prepared, the less impactful it is to the entire community. So if you're not prepared and we have to send responders to your house, we're actually taking responders away from other individuals that may not have the ability to be prepared. So if you as a community member can be prepared, can go ahead and get the water you need for your home, the emergency food, the emergency lighting, the backup power, any type of stuff like this, weather radios, it's very, very critical that you can go ahead and have that, because other community members may not be able to get that as easily, and it's not as readily available to everyone in the community. So Anderson County kind of sits in the middle of a little bit of everything. A lot of people don't think about it. South Carolina is an earthquake. We're on a fault line. There's potentials for earthquakes, fires, winter weather, tornadoes, hurricane season, which is just now starting, flash flooding. We sit in the middle of everything. We're at the foothills of the mountains, so all that water comes down from the mountains and goes right to Anderson, into the foothills, into our creeks, our rivers, makes them rise, and we do have some floodplains in Anderson. So it's really great to be prepared, because you've got to think about stuff. If it's flooding and we also have a storm, which typically come hand in hand, the ground's wet, the trees potentially can start falling, power lines can go down, and we can lose power, lose the ability to transport down the roadway. So you gotta think about, what do I need to do? What do I need to have in place if I need to stay at my house for potentially up to 3 days without power? So we have multiple alert systems. Our biggest alert system that we are pushing heavily is our Code Red alert system. So this system goes straight to your cell phone. It can go by text message, it can go by phone call. We have systems in place on this for the deaf and blind as well. And you can actually sign up yourself by texting Anderson EM, that's Anderson, E as in Echo, M as in Mike, to 99411. And that will send you a link to allow you to sign up and decide what alerts you get. So you can decide to get emergency alerts, but you can also decide to get weather warnings. This system is a very robust and very easy system for us to use, and it can be dedicated to your home. So you can actually put your home location, you could put your work location. If you have a family member that you're concerned about, you can put their location in that, and you can all tie that to your cell phone. This system, typically a lot of community members think of this as reverse 911. So it's 911 calling you and telling you of an emergency. And what we found is not too many people have a house phone anymore. Reverse 911 was originally built for house phones because your house phone was dedicated to your address. Well, now your cell phone is what we need to get in touch with, and that's how we need to get in touch with you much quicker. And so by signing up for this signs your cell phone up to your house or your workplace or wherever you may want. And it's a great system. It gets you real-time information really fast. A lot of people think that the tornado sirens is what we desperately need to be listening for, but the tornado sirens can be confusing. Fire departments within Anderson County and other counties actually use those for calls for service as well. So you may hear that tornado siren go off, and it's actually a call for service for a fire department. And people tend to become numb to those and just not really pay as much attention. So stuff like Code Red, stuff like having a weather radio at your house, a battery-powered weather radio, is huge, and it's vital to get you that information real time. A tornado siren is just going to alert you, give you a quick knowledge that, hey, something may be going on, and that'll give you the ability to turn on TV, turn on a radio and listen. But with this Code Red system and with this alerting system, it's going to immediately send you a text message and tell you exactly what's going on right now. Other things that system can send out is if there's a missing person in your area, we can actually draw a circle on a map on our computer software program, and it will send to your cell phone if you're inside that circle and say, hey, we're looking for this missing person, this is their description, if you hear anything, please call this number. If you hear or see anything. And that is huge and vital for us because we only have so many deputies, we only have so many firemen, we only have so many EMS personnel. So having the eyes of the community looking out and looking out for each other, it's vital. It's vital for our community members, and it really speeds up the process of finding someone that may be endangered. We've had a very large increase in finding missing people by using this and also using social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We actually have Anderson County Emergency Management social media accounts for all these, as well as the Anderson County Sheriff's Office social media account. When we have a missing person or we have a disaster or we have any emergency information we need to send out, we'll publish that on there real time, and a lot of times we'll publish it with a picture, and we immediately start getting phone calls when that gets published. People start calling into our 911 center and saying, hey, I just saw this person 5 minutes ago, or I've got this going on, or I'm able to help here. It's very huge. It's very huge, and it's very helpful to the community because it's real-time communications. A lot of people think of the initial storm. They think of the initial emergency. Well, after that emergency, there's a recovery aspect. And that recovery aspect can go on for days, it can go on for months, it can go on for years. Hurricane Katrina, for example, went on for years afterwards. And so who supports us? Who actually continues on that? Well, that's part of emergency management's job. That's part of the VOAD's jobs, and part of like United Way and Americorps. We actually come in and we assist everyone. Now, it's a long process because these emergencies can be way beyond the scope of anything that we have that can handle it. So in the event that this emergency occurs and we have to go into that recovery mode, we've got people that are, providing food, providing shelter, providing alternate means of transportation, and this can go on for a long period of time. And so that's why it's great to be prepared and great to have plans in place in the event that a disaster does occur, because it not only helps the response, but it helps the recovery aspects of it. And we are very grateful to have partners like Americorps and have partners like United Way that can step in and that can help, because honestly, we can't do it by ourselves. We have to do it as a whole community. A lot of people don't know exactly what all went into the COVID-19 response in Anderson County. Emergency management headed up a lot of that response, but we couldn't do any of that response without our partners from United Way and the Americorps. One thing that we did that was very huge was we actually brought in a shower trailer from the Saluda Baptist Association. So Clean Start is a regular shower location for our community experiencing homelessness. And this helps out that community tremendously, and it is a needed asset. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they weren't able to actually operate that due to people being out, due to the potential for being in a confined space and spreading COVID rapidly. That center shut down for a few months. And when that center shut down, we coordinated with the Saluda Baptist Association and the Americorps and United Way, and we were able to supply that 10 shower unit with also a washer and dryer in there to be able to provide that cleanliness and that sanitation for the community experiencing homelessness. It may sound like something small, but it was huge. This was keeping people safe. It was keeping people well. It was preventing spreading the virus, because as we know, the cleaner we are, the healthier we are, the less germs we're going to pass. And we just can't thank the United Way, Americorps. We can't thank them enough for partnering with us and helping make this happen.
As we conclude today's segment about emergency preparedness and response, you may be asking yourself the question, what does this really have to do with the mission of United Way of Anderson County? Well, you see, our mission talks about identifying needs and being a leader in doing so. Well, it's really obvious that when something terrible happens, like a tornado or a flood or any other disaster, it is a great need. We at United Way want to be able to meet those needs. And part of our mission says that we will leverage and use resources. We could not do the Americorps program without the Americorps grant. It doesn't take away from the money that our donors provide to us to do other things in the community. But again, we're leveraging a resource available to us to help citizens of Anderson County. And lastly, part of our mission is to improve those lives. And we're going to do everything that we can to make the lives of people in Anderson County better. I often say I don't want citizens of Anderson County to survive, but I want them to thrive. And that's what we believe in here at United Way. We hope that you've enjoyed this segment. We hope that you've learned things. Don't forget that we're at the corner of Murray Avenue and Greenville Street. Our number is 226-3438. Let us know when United Way of Anderson County can be of assistance to you.